Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Adeep Mahmood, with my normal co-host Hunter, and today we're going to be talking about some of the playmaking groups in the NFL after free agency and the draft, and then we're going to be doing a little bit on our takeaways from the first month. So we're going to talk about some of the playmakers by team. So, and the reason I wanted to do this segment is one, it's after the draft, but two, uh, obviously we're going to talk about quarterback. We have to talk about teams that have the quarterbacks, running backs, tight ends, receivers. So we just wanted to put the discussion onto those teams. So for me, but let's start with you, Hunter. What are some of the better teams that have playmakers just based off that
Like just
criteria?
based off like pure playmakers.
Yeah, pure playmakers on those position groups.
Also, I think you can start with the Bengals, to be honest, especially offensively. Um, Receivers, running backs, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles are just stacked everywhere. I feel like we can do the Eagles, I think, for any position. The
Right.
49ers are up there as well. I think outside of the quarterback position, they're stacked at, you know, a lot of different positions for their team. The Giants have some good ones. The Ravens have some good playmakers. Um, I mean, the Dolphins, I don't think we need to look at down up and down their roster. They're elite at receiver, running back. Their quarterback is very good when healthy. Um, the Jets kind of, especially cornerback. But those are the ones that really jump out at my eye. I could say that I could be a total homer and say the Steelers for, I guess, having a pretty good running back. George Pickens is awesome, but that's probably cutting it a little. It's probably being a little too homerish, I should say, because I should just say edge rushers for them with TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, and then Minka Fitzpatrick for free safety. But those are the ones that really jump out at me in terms of having a ton of playmakers. Especially after the draft, because a lot of those teams just added to their mix.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I think part of it is like there are teams that have like they're more like the sum of their parts is greater than the whole type of thing. Like the Steelers,
Mhm.
like with Firemouth and Darnell Washington now. The running
Yep.
game with Harris and some of the other guys they have. Then receivers. I mean, you got. I think Calvin Austin. Is it fair to say Calvin Austin would be more of a slot receiver in this offense?
I think so. He's going to move around a lot if he's healthy, of course.
Right, so you have Calvin Austin in the slot, Allen Robinson and Pickens on the outside, and now as they talked about and Kenny Pickett's pretty decent. So I think you got teams like the Steelers. I mean, the Ravens are also one of these teams that are also some of their parts are greater than the whole. Andrews likely Kolar in the tight end room, Odell, Bateman, Nelson Aguilar. Like Nelson Aguilar went from when he signed, he was probably what the third biggest pass catcher on that team to he's
Mhm.
what fifth or sixth. Like Andrews likely Bateman, OBJ, Zay Flowers are ahead of him. But yeah, like you got the receivers there. Even like someone like Devin Duvernay is going from second wide receiver 2 to like wide receiver 4. So like they do have some depth there, and obviously Lamar had that quota of 6,000 yards. I think that was facetious. I think that was mainly more
Yeah,
so
there's no way he's serious off that, right?
no. But I think it was more so of a credit of who he has to throw the ball to. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of what he was saying. So you got those, and then you have other offenses that are dominant in like one or two groups, like receiver and quarterback, like the Bengals, right? They have a good quarterback. They have three good receivers. They got a run game. We'll see what the run game looks like. Obviously, we don't know if how involved Joe Mixon is. He's kind of been on the rocks there, but yeah, they got and then tight ends. I forgot. I know Hayden Hurst left. We'll see. Maybe they can get some involvement there, but they kind of fall into the good quarterback and then either one of receiver, running back, or tight end. Mainly it's receiver or tight end. Is elite, and then the rest are just kind of mad. But the two groups they have that are dominant are so dominant that you can afford to have a sub-average run game when you do have the receivers you have with Cincinnati. And then you have, and I'll actually put the Bills. I'll put the Bills more towards balanced because when you think about it, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox as your two top tight ends, Damian Harris, I believe Singletary's still there, as your main running backs. Then you
Stephon
got
Diggs and Gabriel Davis. Is he still there?
Gabriel Davis is actually let me just fix this. But yeah, Gabriel
He's been
I'll fix it. Don't worry about it. Gabriel Davis is still there as a number two, and then obviously they would definitely need another third guy. It's gonna be really tricky. Do you know like who's the third receiver? Because it's Shakir, the guy from rookie receiver last year, but they do have one good receiver, but I think, and obviously Josh Allen being Josh Allen.
Yeah, it's Shakir. Yeah, but it's actually I probably should not have said the receiver group. It's mainly just Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis.
Yeah, so but also I think they are kind of becoming more of that balance group because Dawson Knox is good, but it was the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs show, and then they were kind of in that elite quarterback, elite receiver group, and Stephon Diggs was so good that you don't really think about that they don't really have a lot of pieces other than Stephon. Gabe is solid. He's had a few big games. But yeah, I mean, but with Dalton Kincaid coming in there and fortifying that tight end room, with Damian Harris coming in there and fortifying the running back room, would you say they're more balanced across receiver, tight end, quarterback, running back than they were
When I
last
think
year?
about it now, yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I mean, Allen's obviously a superstar. Knox is good. Kincaid, Diggs. They have plenty of weapons to throw the ball to, but all of them outside, I think, of Diggs they're not like truly elite weapons like the Dolphins have or something like that.
Right, and also I think
They
the
have the
Dolphins.
quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. Then with the Dolphins, I would downgrade them more into they got two really good receivers. And then Cedric, and then whoever, if it's Cedric Wilson, whoever that third receiver is. So they're good on receiver. They're good when Tua's healthy. They're good there. Obviously, Mike McDaniel came from the Kyle Shanahan system, so the run game should be good there as well. But I think losing Gesicki to the Patriots, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And I don't think they drafted. I don't believe they drafted a tight end, so it's gonna be really interesting there. And then obviously Kansas City is really interesting because obviously Mahomes is really good. Obviously, you have a good offensive mind. They are
Policy, but like their wide receiver group, I don't think is that good. They just
right.
have good enough players to surround Mahomes that he makes them better than maybe they truly are. Honestly, even their running game, I don't really think is that good either. They're well coached. They have a superstar quarterback, and they have arguably our greatest tight end of all time. And you have good weapons around them, and they're balanced.
Yeah, you're right because it's like that's why Kansas City's tricky. By the way, do you think Rashee Rice is going to be a solid piece for them, like a receiver they got in the second round?
Knowing the Chiefs, probably, and Andy Reid, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but my point being with the Kansas City Chiefs is they're really good. They're well coached. What saves them is they're well coached, and they got a good quarterback, and they got a good tight end. And I think Isaac Pacheco was good last year. They Scantling was good last year. They did lose Smith Schuster. You still got Sky Moore. Kadarius Toney is solid when healthy. So you're right. Like on paper, if you take away the coaching aspect, the receiving room for Kansas City isn't great, but the receiving room is better because of who's coaching the offense, who's designing the offense. And we're going to see what Matt Nagy does. We're going to see what he does with this, but we did also see that he was a coordinator and Mahomes threw for 50 touchdowns, but they also didn't have at that point they had Tyreek Hill. This year they didn't have they don't have Tyreek Hill now. But and then you have then some other teams there's some other teams there as well. I mean, is interesting because you have Brandon Cooks, and C.D. Lamb, Dak Prescott's
They're
not.
more balanced than like front loaded or heavy. Front loaded. I would say, yeah, they're more balanced than like front loaded.
Yeah, and then the Commanders could be interesting. Dotson is a decent receiver there. Sam Howell, we'll see what he does. Obviously, bringing Eric Bieniemy is gonna be interesting. The Eagles are just loaded, like you said. They're just downright loaded. You could say Lions are an interesting team. Lions could be interesting because you do have Amon-Ra St. Brown. There you did lose DeAndre Swift. You don't have T.J. Hawkinson. I know they got Sam Laporta, the tight end. So that's going to be an interesting team to look out for. The Jaguars, I think they have quietly a solid playmaking group. Evan Ingram, their tight end. You got guys like you got guys like Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Zay Jones. So you do have
Calvin Ridley was there.
yeah. But what are your thoughts? Like, do you think the Jaguars are a sneaky team to watch out for?
Oh yeah. I mean, they made the AFC divisional round this year. That comeback against the Chargers, I don't really think was a fluke. They should be the favorites to win the AFC South this year. And if Trevor Lawrence continues to progress and take another big step, why can't they, be a contender in the AFC? They gave the Chiefs a pretty good fight in the divisional round. I mean, Mahomes even got hurt during that game.
Yeah, and also this team doesn't have what the most important piece, which is the quarterback. But think about the Falcons: Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Like, you have pieces there to work with. Desmond Ridder is the quarterback though, so I think they're on paper.
You can make that same argument for the 49ers too. Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk.
Yep.
But who's going to be their quarterback? That's the same thing I think as the Falcons, kind of, in a way.
I mean, so it is interesting seeing how these teams kind of you have some teams that are well balanced and they got the quarterback. They I don't think the Steelers and the Ravens have that superstar. Other than I know the Ravens have Lamar obviously, but when it comes to receiver, running back, tight end, I don't think either teams have that superstar. I think the closest one is probably Andrews for the tight end position, but he's not Kelsey. That's the thing. He's not Kelsey. So, but you look at Freiermuth is productive. All these Deontay Johnson is quietly productive, and I think that you got teams that are like that. Then you got teams, like I said, that are really dominant in receivers, and they're dominant there. But also, let's just flip it. Let's just reverse it backwards, right? So we talked about the teams with the most balanced, most extreme. What about the other way around? The teams that have garbage playmakers. What are some teams like that? Patriots are a team for me that kind of.
The Patriots, yeah, that's a really good one.
What about the Cardinals?
Well, Hollywood Brown's not bad. Would the Colts count?
I think they're I mean, you got Pittman Jr., who's solid.
Yeah, he's not bad.
I mean, it depends on who the quarterback is, so that's a big issue for them. Alec Pierce as your wide receiver, as wide receiver 2 or 3, I'm not really. Maybe they're in the what if category, right? They do have pieces, but they could go either way. They could be really good, but they could be really bad. I'll put it that way. Vikings are interesting. I forgot about the Vikings for the good category. Because Justin Jefferson.
The Vikings, Justin Jefferson, I know Thielen's not there anymore, right?
No, it's Jordan Addison there as wide receiver.
That's right.
Hawkinson's there.
Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
But it's all a matter of, what happens with the quarterback. Can Kirk Cousins play at a high level? I think that's kind of, I guess, not as much in terms of the Falcons, because Cousins is better than whoever they have, and I think he's better than whoever the 49ers have. But it's still similar in a way where how high can he raise his level of play?
And then you also got Packers could be. Packers, you got to figure out the quarterback thing, whether he's gonna be good or not. And Packers, I think you could put in the bad category in my opinion. Until proven otherwise, I don't know who they have. The fact that they are clamoring that they are in the race for Mercedes Lewis to come back to Green Bay should tell you a whole lot. You got Aaron Jones. You got Aaron Jones as running back. That's fine, but it seemed it was a weird strategy. I know they got the tight end from Cincinnati a year ago. They drafted a couple more this year. this is going to be one of those teams that are just trying to be relevant. Bears are interesting. Obviously, Justin Fields, you got him there. You got DJ Moore. You have Claypool, Daryl Mooney, Cole Kmet. They do have those guys. Like they do have pieces. Like, do you think the Bears are in the good or just they're in the on the fence category?
They're on the fence, I think. I think if Justin Fields takes a big step, they could get there. That division is going to be, I'm curious, next season. The Packers have owned that division for most of the last, 10 to 15 years. The Vikings finally struck back this past year, even when Aaron Rodgers was there. But the Lions, they should be ready to win. I almost lost my train of thought. The Bears, they had a rough year, but Fields did show improvement. His completion percentage went up. His yards per throw went up. So, if he does take another big step into year 3, I definitely think you could see him there. They have some decent playmakers there. Mooney, he's good. Yep. I like him a lot. The running game.
Now the fact that he's wide receiver 2 or 3, it makes him even better. Yeah, I agree. And then obviously, Khalil Herbert as a running back is always good. He's solid for Tariq Cohen's there. But like that division's gonna be interesting. We talked about the NFC East, we talked about NFC North, NFC West. We talked about the 49ers. We talked about the Cardinals a little bit. What about where would you put the Rams? And where would you put the Rams? Good, on the fence, or bad?
Bad. I don't think that's a good team. I think obviously Matthew Stafford's going to come back with a little bit of a vengeance, but they went all in and they're feeling the effects of it right now. Aaron Donald is awesome, yes, but they had to trade Jalen Ramsey. They had to trade Allen Robinson. They have no cap space. A lot of their skill players are not as good as a lot of other teams. I don't think the Rams are going to be that good this season, even though Sean McVay did come back.
Yeah, do you also think that this is going to be one of those let's go double team or triple team Cooper Kupp, and then force the Rams to use Skowronek, to use some of these other guys? Because I can't think of their tight end. I can't think of who they have for running backs. It's just like they used to, that Super Bowl winning team had Odell, Cooper Kupp. They had pieces there, and then obviously they didn't have Odell then last season, so they tried to replace him with Allen Robinson. That didn't work out well. You are absolutely seeing the Rams kind of facing the after effects of it, which is why I think that they could be in the market for like a top 10, top 15 pick next year. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibility. Like, do you think they pick like 7 or 8? Like, I think they're going to be a team 7 or 8. I think that's where they're going to be next season. Like,
they're not going to be really, really bad, like 3-14 or like 4-13. But I think 5-12, 6-11, something like that is what I'm thinking for the Rams.
So I'm thinking back end top 10, which it's amazing what they do there. So I mean, it would be interesting. I think that we'll see what happens with the new coordinator of Georgia. And then, with the new coordinator of Georgia, do you think Brock Bowers is a guy that's going to drop to that range, or do you think he's going to stay in the top 5?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Do you think Brock Bowers, the tight end from Georgia, do you think he's going to stay in the top 5, or do you think he's going to drop down to the 8 to 15 range?
I mean, if he has another good season, obviously, I think he could go top 5. But it's also rare to see tight ends go top 5. The last one was Kyle Pitts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even remember the last one before that, to be honest with you.
Ebron?
You might be right. It might have been Ebron. I think he went at least top 10. It's becoming increasingly rare. So if he does have a really good season, I could see it if teams think he is the next Kyle Pitts. But, knowing the history, it's probably more likely than not that he's probably going to slide down a little bit, which would help the Rams.
Oh, yeah. And I think that would be really interesting what they do there. So it is interesting with some of these teams. It's just, did we miss any other teams? Did we miss any other teams, or just should just move on?
I don't think so. You could say the Panthers are becoming a little more balanced. Yeah, they have the quarterback, they have the weapons.
Seahawks are a little too extreme on relying on DK Metcalf, and we don't know if Smith, if last season was a mirage for him. And we don't know how much longer Lockett has, and obviously they got running backs, so we'll see what they do there. I mean, yeah, you're right. I forgot about the Panthers. They do have solid pieces. I don't know if Hayden Hurst, yeah, like Terrence, like, but like if Terrence Marshall Jr. is your number 2 or your number 3 receiver, are they good? Like, do they have playmakers? So like that's the other thing.
The Raiders have some, kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. You mentioned Giants. Chargers are an interesting team. I mean, Johnson.
They have the playmakers.
They got the quarterback. They got the playmakers. Do they have the running game?
Eckler's still there for now.
Yeah, still there for now. Um, Broncos are interesting. What about the Broncos are interesting? I know Hamler is going to be missing at least half the season, but Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, obviously like what? And I forgot who. I believe like who's their tight end? Who's the tight end for the Broncos?
Was
No,
it oh
is it Fant?
I think yeah, I think it actually might be Noah Fant. Actually double check this here real quick.
Yeah, no, Seahawks. Seahawk. He was he went to the.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, Fant is it's Greg Dulcich. And then it's
Oh, yeah.
Albert I can't pronounce his last name.
I know who you're talking about, but yeah. So and then yeah. So Broncos are interesting. Do you think they had? I think they're on the fence. I think that it really depends on Russell Wilson, but they're
That's
on
the
the
big
fence.
thing. They have to. I mean, if he plays well, they have a shot at contending. If not, the whole thing goes crashing down again.
Yeah. So I mean, those are just most of the teams. So let's move on to MLB. We had our first season, first month of the season. Um, there, but what were some of your takeaways from this first month?
Pirates really surprised a lot of people. I think they 20-8 through their first 28 games. Though they have hit a little bit of a rough patch. They got swept by the Rays. They're about to get swept by the Blue Jays. I think they're finally, playing some pretty good teams here, but they're still
lost
leading
6 in
in
a row.
control.
Yeah,
Say that again.
they lost 6 in a row, so that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're coming back down to earth, I think, a little bit. The Cardinals have been brutal. Did not see that coming. I thought they were going to be one of the top teams in the National League yet again. The Rays, I don't get it, Eddie. Like, they are just dumping on teams. Absolutely crapping on teams. And the poor Orioles, who are actually having a really good year, they just can't get any ground because the Rays just keep on winning. I think you probably have almost resigned yourself to the fact that the Orioles are not going to catch the Rays, most likely, even though it's early.
I'll get back to you down by like midway through the season. Let me see how the games against Tampa are going because obviously because look, for all we know, the Orioles could just dominate the Rays. For all we know. And for all we don't know, for all we know, they might not. They might. Like we don't know how because the Orioles and Rays haven't played yet. So their first series starts tomorrow. So this is going to be really interesting what they do there. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that the Rays I'm 97% certain the Rays are going to win the division. I'm 95% certain that they're going to win the division. Like that's my take on it. But yeah, go ahead.
No, the Rays, I mean, they just do everything right. It's crazy to see. The AL East is also such a competitive division this year. Every team is above 500. It's bad when the freaking Yankees are in last place and they are above 500. I know you're probably having fun with that. Homerism wise for me, the Nationals aren't as bad as they were last year. They actually are watchable this season. Yes, they're in last place, but still, this is a better team than where they were last season. The Phillies are only above them by a couple of games. The Mets have not been good at all this season. Max Scherzer has not been great. Justin Verlander has been,
poor Showalter. Poor Puppy Showalter.
Poor him.
Yeah, I mean he's one World Series title away from being potentially a Hall of Fame manager. And this is the best. Would you say that this is the best team he's ever managed? Like this is on paper. This should be the best team that he's ever managed.
Well, what about last year's Mets team or no?
Maybe.
It's close. It's one of those two, but I would definitely agree it's at least one of these two. But it's crazy that the Mets just can't really figure it out this season. so far at least. That's been a little bit of a surprise. You can scroll down a little bit more for the standings.
Yeah, no.
Honestly, I thought the Dodgers. I think they've started off. Yeah, I mean they've. It's the Dodgers. The Diamondbacks, I think, have surprised me a bit. I didn't really expect them to be that good this season, but those are the main ones that have really stood out to me so far. What about you?
Yeah, so I think you covered most of it. The Cardinals just look absolutely bad for it. I mean, did you see a story that like their big offseason addition, Wilson Contreras? He's not just going to be playing catcher now; he's going to be playing DH and outfield. Like
Jeez.
that's how bad it that's how bad it's gotten. I mean, the Dodgers started off slow. Arizona, good team. We'll see how they continue. Pittsburgh has kind of been falling back to earth. I
Mhm.
think that this is the um, Brewers division. I think the Brewers eventually going to win. So I think it's going to be between Pittsburgh and Cubs. Look, the the Pittsburgh Pirates, I think, are going to get respect this season. I don't think they're going to be successful. They're not going to make the playoffs, but you know that team that surprises everyone. That's like 3, 4 games. Like they're like the Orioles of last season. No one expected anything from them, but they got far more closer, and you feel better about them at the end of the season than you did at the beginning. I think that's going to be Pittsburgh, but yeah, I think they are coming back down to earth. They are not a top 5 team just yet. The Miami Marlins have all the pitching, but for some reason have never been able to put it together. Like at some point they have to unload some of their pitchings because they they are constantly in a rebuild, but they're trying to compete, but it feels like they're in a rebuild. The Phillies obviously struggled a little bit, but they
They do have Harper back now, so that should get them going again.
yeah, and then you go up here. I mean, Oakland. Obviously, Oakland's been pathetic. They've had bad headline after bad headline after bad headline. Seattle's been disappointing.
Actually, on Friday, but we're not going to get into that.
We're not going to do that, but Seattle's been incredibly disappointing.
Mhm.
That like I expected more from them. Houston, obviously, they've had Altuve out. Luis Garcia is out for the year with Tommy John. So do you think the Rangers are going to? Obviously, it depends on DeGrom's health, but do you think the Rangers are going to hold this, or do you think the Angels?
No, I think Houston's going to come up and take it from them once Altuve gets healthy. Um, I also, I'm sorry, I don't have faith in the Angels. I don't know how anyone
No.
could. They have not done a thing with two of the best players in the league. I don't expect them to keep this going. I think Houston's going to come up there and take it from them.
Yeah, no, and then and then obviously the Central.
Now the Royals stink.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel bad for Bobby Wood Jr. He's so good, but he's on such a bad team. And
Mhm.
again, they're another team. They were doing a rebuild, but that rebuild didn't work out so well for them. So it is interesting. Now for the Orioles, I mean, obviously, you talk about Nationals. The Orioles historically they really good start for the season. Knocking on wood here, but they have won the opener of every series this year. I think they're 11 straight season opener wins. So
Mhm.
if so, it's gonna be interesting whether it gets snapped tomorrow. I don't know if it will. I don't know if it won't. I think today before they lost a series to Atlanta this weekend, they won 7 straight series. So that's obviously good for them, which is why you're seeing the 640, which is why they have over close to 650 uh, percentage. That's good. Um, I think the big takeaway this weekend with the Orioles is they stood pound for pound against the Braves. I mean, so the first game they crushed them 9-4. The second game, Kevin Pillar had to hit a 2-run home run in the 8th inning for the Braves to get a 5-4 win. And then today, the Braves, Michael Harris II hit a double in the 12th inning, I believe. I think it was the 12th inning, but he had a double in extra innings. Braves won the game 3-2. So
Mhm.
these are very close games, and the fact, look, Could they have won yesterday's game? Sure. I've seen people say they should have brought in Yennier Cano. The thing is, Yennier Cano a couple days ago threw 35 pitches in 2 innings. He was unavailable. I get sick and tired of people criticizing Brandon Hyde's bullpen decisions after the fact. I think that he does have fault. I don't know if he's the manager long term, but some of the decisions he made, people criticize after the fact, which I'm never really a fan of. But this is clearly a team that's going to. I think they're going to add a pitcher. They have so many prospects in that farm system. They're going to add a pitcher. Now, if the Cardinals continue to struggle, I think an underrated guy is Jack Flaherty. I think that I understand he's a rental, but his cost is probably going to be lowered for it. The Cardinals aren't going to compete. I don't know if they'll extend Jack Flaherty, and I think if you can get him back to what he was in the last few years, you have a solid, like mid to front end starter there. The rookies are good. Grace Rodriguez has had a few. He's had a few good starts. Obviously, his last start wasn't great, but he's a rookie. I've seen people. Well, it's really funny though. It's like people say this guy should have been up 2 weeks ago or whatever, right? You always hear that. They're also the same people that say these guys should be sent back down. They're the first people to say that. It's really interesting, right? It's always majority of them is the same people that say you called them up too late. They've been ready for a while. It's always the same people then saying you send them back down. Gunnar Henderson, I know he's batting 180, but the guy has, I think he's 10th in the American League in walks. He has like a 330 on base percentage. He is doing what he should be doing when it comes to being a 21-year-old in the majors. Learning how to play in the majors. Like, I don't want him turning into Adam Jones, like where he's super aggressive every time. But he's learning how to be a professional. He's taking professional at bats. Now, is he too patient? Yeah, I mean, I think what he's doing now is what Juan Soto's doing, what he's been doing with the Padres, where Juan Soto's batting average is lower, but his on base is much higher. So everything tells you that everything is trending upwards. You're just trying to find the right wave. It'll be really curious to see when they call up some of their guys, whether it's Colton Cowser or Jordan Westberg. Um, but yeah, I mean, their bullpen's been solid. Felix Bautista just had some control issues last few games. He's gotten the job done at the end of the day. He's limited damage, but he's not the same shutdown guy he was a year ago. Uh, Yennier Cano, it's been incredible. He's given up. I think he's pitched like about 15, 16 innings so far. He's given up 2 hits and 1 hit by pitch. Those are the only base runners that this guy has allowed. And so I think they found their new eighth inning guy in Yennier Cano. Obviously, I think Michael Givens and Dylan Tate are going to be coming back soon. They're going to fortify that bullpen. But I mean, yeah, the bullpen for the Orioles has been solid. The batting it has been solid. But yeah, so it's like, and then obviously team camaraderie. Did you see? I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I could bring this up. But did you see what was going on in the Orioles game? So obviously we know they had the celebrations, but did you see what happened? I'll
No,
describe it.
never show it to me.
Yeah, no, I'll see if I have I'll see if I have it here. But so basically what happened is the Orioles celebration. So when you hit an extra base hit, you're supposed to kind of start the sprinkler. So what happened was James McCann hits a double. So this was on Friday. So the pitchers were ready to, and then when you start hitting the sprinkler, the pitchers are supposed to waterfall. So they're supposed to drink water, and it's like waterfall. But the thing is, the rules are the batter has to indicate to the pitcher. James McCann did not do that. So you had all these pitchers. You had all these pitchers kind of actually I know let me get to the guy. Let me get to this first guy. All these pitchers waiting, and to make matters worse, the play was under review.
Yeah, you need to show me if I can watch it.
Yeah, the play was under review, but so the play was under review. But yes, it is interesting. Why don't you talk about the NFL sorry, the NHL playoffs actually while you do that?
Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. You know, the 8 teams that are live right now. The most recent one that's won a cup is 2006, the Hurricanes. Whoever wins the cup this year is going to be a winner. I mean, it's going to be a team, excuse me, that hasn't won in almost 20 years. There's a lot of new blood. The President's Trophy Bruins team is out. They were the best team in regular NHL regular season history this year. They lost. They blew a 3-1 series lead. You know, obviously the Caps aren't there. The Penguins aren't there. The Lightning lost. The Leafs, they broke a 19-year curse. Though the Leafs are down 2-0 in their series right now. Carolina's about to be up 2-1 because the Devils are whooping them in their series. The Devils beat the Rangers. Seattle, second-year expansion team, they took down the champs in round 1, which is awesome. They're playing the Stars. That series is tied up 1-1 right now. And then the Oilers night series, that series is also tied up 1-1 right now as well. A lot of fresh new blood in there for a lot of these teams. It's making for a really fun playoff so far.
Yeah, so okay, I do have the video here, so I'm gonna show you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all right.
James McCann with a double. And Acuna was just.
Well, he's like, okay, he put his.
So that's the celebration you're supposed to do.
Okay.
So, but watch, but keep like, so keep like he's not doing it all, and then watch. Look at Kyle Gibson.
He's just like staring.
Like Grayson's funny. And by the way, Kyle Gibson's 35 years old. It gets better. It gets better.
Like, oh.
Hurry! Let it go!
Oh,
look at Gibson.
Yeah,
Gibson's going to drown.
He's
awesome. Going to choke himself here. Spit it out, Gibson. Get rid of it. Hurry.
He's not spitting it out at all.
He can't wait. Oh, my God. It's got to be boiling by now. Rodriguez is like, how long are you going to keep that in your mouth, dude?
He's like a kid that the teacher won't let out of class. You have to wait till the class is over.
I love the fact he's a 35-year-old.
This is like a Marx Brothers movie right here.
Wells has got his bottle of water. Grayson's got a cup full of water. I think Bradish. Look, Bradish is over to the left. He's still got a mouthful of water too.
He's just so chill.
They're just going to spit it at each other in a second.
This is art.
Come on, just spit it out or swallow it.
Art. I think he's safe, but does the leg pop off? We can't show you the replay because we don't want to leave the shot. Dean is still out there. He's out of the game.
Call the field stands.
Yes! There we go. Let it go, Gibby.
James, please look over, will you? James, look over. James.
He's just not
He's
going to give him any
for
love.
a pinch runner.
He's not looking at him.
He's coming out for a pinch runner.
Wait until the end.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
I think it froze.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, yeah, that was what happened. It was like I didn't realize it, and then they just put the video up there, and they just kept it on the pitchers the entire time because the pitchers were trying to figure it out. Oh yeah, by the way, Kyle Gibson was also the one person when the home run celebration started. He said that I want to be the first person. If I'm the first person that you're interviewing, we want to make it clear it is a homer hose. It is not a dong bong. And he admitted, like, hey, I did not think I would say the words dong bong in my career.
No.
And he's also 35 years old, so he's literally they poked fun of it. They poked fun at him because he had before they went out and got Danny Colomb. He was the only guy born in the 80s on that team on the Orioles.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was pretty funny. Like they're kind of getting into it now. Like the pitchers are doing their own celebration, and the Orioles are doing their own thing as well. So next week we'll talk about. I think next week we should talk about the home run celebration. I know the Nationals started their own. We'll rank them for next week. If there's any NFL news, if there's any baseball news, we'll do that as well. And then we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Talk to you guys then.